The Bible begins in a garden. Two people, a river, trees, direct access to God, no temple, no priests, no system of mediation, just presence. And then it ends. Not in a garden, in a city. A city with streets of gold and gates that never close, where the tree of life grows along a river of living water, and there is no night and no temple because the whole city is the temple. Most people assume the goal of the story is to get back to the garden, to return to Eden, to restore what was lost. They are half right, but the direction is not backward. It never was. The word paradise does not come from Hebrew or Greek. It comes from Old Persian, pairidaeza or pairidaeza. It meant an enclosed royal garden, a walled park belonging to a king, the private, protected gardens of the Persian aristocracy. When Persian culture spread through the ancient world, the word traveled with it. It entered Greek as pairidaesos. And when Jewish scholars in Alexandria translated the Hebrew scriptures into Greek, the Septuagint, they chose pairidaesos to translate the Garden of Eden. Genesis 2:8, the Lord God planted a garden in Eden. In Greek, a pairidaesos, a royal garden, the garden of the king. By the time of Jesus, the word carried layered meaning. In Luke 23:43, Jesus tells the dying thief, "Today you will be with me in paradise." In 2 Corinthians 12, Paul is caught up to paradise. In Revelation 2:7, "To the one who conquers I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God." Paradise in the biblical imagination is not just a pretty place. It is the garden of a king. Access to it is access to the king. In the original garden, several things existed that matter to what comes later. First, no temple. God walked in the garden in the cool of the day, direct, unmediated. No altar, no sacrifice, no veil. The whole garden was holy space because God was present in it. Second, the tree of life. Genesis 2:9, planted in the middle of the garden. Access to it meant sustained life, not just existence, flourishing. Third, a river. Genesis 2:10, a river flowed out of Eden and split into four. Water as the source of life spreading outward from the center. Then Genesis 3, the man and the woman eat. The relationship fractures. God expels them from the garden. And Genesis 3:24, God placed cherubim and a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life. The tree of life is now blocked. The direct presence is now inaccessible. And the entire rest of the Old Testament, the tabernacle, the temple, the priesthood, the sacrificial system, is the story of slowly, partially, temporarily restoring what was lost at the tree. The entire sacrificial system of Israel is the management of a problem that began in the garden. Jump to the last 2 chapters of the Bible. John sees a vision. Revelation 21:1. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. And then I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Note the direction. It comes down, not humanity ascending to heaven, heaven descending to earth. The movement is toward creation, not away from it. Revelation 21:22, one of the most surprising verses in the entire Bible. And I saw no temple in the city, for its temple is the Lord God the Almighty and the Lamb. No temple, the architectural center of Jewish worship, gone, not because worship ended, but because the reason for the temple, the problem of unmediated access, is solved. The whole city is holy space because God is fully present in all of it. Revelation 22, 1-2. Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, bright as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb through the middle of the street of the city. Also on either side of the river, the tree of life. The river returns. The tree of life returns. What was blocked in Genesis 3:24, the way to the tree of life, is now restored. But not just restored. Revelation 22:2 continues, the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Not for two people, not for one nation, for all nations. The blessing of Eden, limited at first to a garden, now extends outward to the entire human family. It is worth slowing down on the differences between the beginning and the end. Genesis opens with a garden becomes a city. Scale increases. Two people become a city of people from every tribe and tongue and nation. Genesis has a river flowing outward from Eden. Revelation has the river of life flowing through the city's main street. The source is the throne of God. The distribution is total. The tree of life in Genesis is in the center, then blocked. In Revelation it lines the river. Not one tree, trees, accessible, unclosed. The gates of Eden are locked by cherubim. The gates of the New Jerusalem are never locked. Revelation 21:25. Its gates will never be shut by day, and there will be no night. No night. The thing that came with the fall, darkness as part of the broken order, is resolved not by restoring a pre-fall state, but by something stronger. A city lit by the glory of God. And no temple. Eden had no temple because there was no separation. The New Jerusalem has no temple for the same reason. Separation has been fully and finally ended. The ending is not a return. It is an arrival at something Genesis was only pointing toward. The direction of the biblical story is not backward, it is forward. God did not create a garden and then lose it. He created a garden as the beginning of something, a seed form of what was always intended. The garden was always going to become a city. Direct presence was always going to scale from two people to all nations. The tree of life was always going to be accessible to more than its original inhabitants. The fall interrupted the trajectory, but it did not reverse it. The cross resumed it. And the last chapters of Revelation are not a restoration, they are a destination. Eden was never the goal. Paradise, the royal garden of the king, was the promise Eden was making. What surprises you most about the ending? For a lot of people it's the temple or the lack of one. For others it's the direction, coming down, not going up. Drop your thought in the comments, even just no temple, that's enough. And if this way of reading the whole arc of the Bible is something you want more of, there are more videos right here. We go deep, but not complicated.